What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And have you ever tried to ghost someone and they just refuse to get ghosted? They just keep popping up. They just keep popping back up like some of these women's HSV infections. Well, we have a story here today that is going to be just that. This woman did not take ghosting very well. She refused to get ghosted after she had been pumped and dumped several times, and she has a story to tell. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and hello again. My name's Dry Boy. Let's get into it.
If a guy ghosts, he is just not that into you. Or is he? Story time. Let me tell you about...
If a guy ghosts you, he's not that into you.
If a guy ghosts you, he's not that into you.
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
I can say that with almost 100%.
the time that I followed up with a ghoster and the chaos that ensued and life lessons learned. So it was a Saturday morning. I step off
Life lessons learned. Let's see about that.
my bed into inches of water. It turned out that my roommate's boyfriend had clogged the toilet and didn't say anything.
Whoa. Let me stop you right there. You can't just start your story about your little situationship escapades and at the very beginning blame it on a man. Is that what you're doing here? You're saying that your roommate's boyfriend clogged the toilet and it caused this series of events that unfolded before you. Is that what you're doing here? You're not blaming this on a man. This is your problem. You're the one who did this. Let's continue.
And the whole apartment was flooded. So the maintenance people came and they were like, you should probably get out of the apartment for the day. What's a 22-year-old to do? I went to the bar with my girlfriend to do some day drinking. We met these two really cute guys. One of them I was like super into right away. I was like, I really like this one. We ended up spending the day with them, bar hopping all over the West Village. And I couldn't tell if he liked me. I just couldn't tell. I was super into him. Then when we were hours into this adventure, he kissed me. So I was like, oh, I guess he does like me. He got my number and then he convinced me to meet up with him and his friends later on that night. I did.
You know what? He did like you, I'm gonna be honest with you. He liked you because you were there. Any guy kind of knows this. Like you're just there. And you are the closest in proximity, and he was probably, intoxicated, so that makes, people look more attractive, and so you just add everything up. I mean, this is just common sense.
I ended up sleeping over, but only because my apartment was still really disgusting and I didn't want to go back there. And I told him, I made it very clear, I'm like, I'm not gonna have sex with you. We did not. I was like, it's just because I have a smelly toilet water apartment right now.
So when women say this, 100% of the time, when they say they didn't sleep with a guy, they do. They 100% do it all the time. This is just a commonly known, it's kind of like a joke. It's like an inside joke that, it's like, I definitely 100% didn't do it. And then it's just kind of like, well, if you have to say it, then you definitely did it.
Now, and I don't want to go back there. Fine. Next morning, we get breakfast together and we had made plans. Like we talked about seeing a movie later in the week. So we departed. Sure. And I was like, great, amazing. I have like a new boyfriend. This is great. Like it seemed like that's where it was going. We had a great time together, whatever. 1 day passes, 2 days pass, 3 days pass. Now we're already like on Wednesday, and we had talked about seeing a movie on Thursday. Have not heard from him. I think a little earlier in the week, I sent him a friend request on Facebook.
Yeah, he ghosted you. He ghosted you. That's the classic. If he's not calling you back, not talking to you, ignoring your friend requests, he ghosted you.
Women.
And he didn't approve my request. And I was like, no, I'm not letting this go. We had something here. I'm calling him. I don't even know how, like, this is so not me, back then. I was not that girl to do that. Like, I'm not like giving up on this. So I call him. It was so awkward. Like,
Bruh, it sounds like it. Sounds horrible.
It's just like, why is this chick calling me? I was like, hey, like, are we still going to a movie tomorrow like we talked about?
That's a great question. I've been wondering that myself.
And he was like, I guess, yeah, sure, or whatever. Somehow we ended up deciding we were gonna do dinner the following night, right?
This poor guy. This guy. This guy. Oh man, I feel bad for this dude.
So the following night comes and I go to the lobby of my building and he's sitting there and he looks like he just does not want to be there. He does not want to be there at all. And I'm like, hey. And he was like, oh, hey. Then we walk outside my building and he stops and he looks at me. He's like, you're so beautiful. I was like, okay. And he was like, you should change your Facebook profile picture. It just doesn't look like you. So I was like, oh, that's why I didn't hear from him. Like he like thought I was ugly. Maybe I didn't look pretty in the morning in his apartment. I don't know. If you guys want to have your theories, whatever. But all of a sudden he quit, immediate turnaround, and he was like smitten by me, right? So like we go to dinner and then he mentions, he's like, I'm so sorry I didn't call you.
Why does this all seem kind of like fake? like I kind of believe him ghosting you, but not now. You're throwing in all these other story details, and I'm just kind of like, sounds kind of fake. But I'll let you continue.
No, it was such a busy week, but I'm so glad that you called me, and I'm thinking, wow, look at that. Like I made the right call here. This guy really likes me. Okay, long story short, I don't want to run too long here, but I mean, there's a lot to say about the story. Anyway, fine. So we start dating, and at first everything's going great. Like, it's going great. But then there's a shift, and then it suddenly feels like he's not that into it anymore. And I thought, well, I won him back over that first time. Surely I could do it again. But it was like we're escalating, and then all of a sudden we're de-escalating, right? Not hearing from him.
I just want to pop in here real quick and point out the massive cope that she's dealing with. It is a sad situation, but this is all just, this 5-minute story is nothing but cope, honestly. They dated for however long. I kind of tuned out after it, but she did say that they had dated. How long did they date, and did they go out in public a lot? Because this just kind of sounds like a dude that probably already has a couple women, you know, and he's said, okay, you can join the roster, I guess, but you're
ugly.
I'm gonna put you on the bench. You'll play like a replacement, you know.
Then he resurfaces, and then he ghosts me again.
So gaslighting like this is definitely a tactic that these guys use, where they will cut communication, and then later on when they get bored, they will call them back up just to pump and dump them again. It's pretty common.
And then,
I mean, the signs are all here. It's like a situationship. There's ghosting. There's gaslighting. He's popping up, back, forth. He's like, oh, yeah, I really like you. And then he doesn't talk to you. And he's like, oh, can I pump and dump you a few times? And you're like, sure.
Just hey, we're dating though. And
he's like, yeah, sure, we're dating, whatever. And he just like pumps and dumps you 13 times and then he leaves. Is this what's happening here?
The second time he called me, and even before I answered the phone, I had forgiven him, right? So I answer, and it was very clear that he had called me.
You know, and I say what you will, and I'm going to go ahead and speak my mind, but whenever a 3 forgives a 9, you know, it's kind of like...
you blew it.
By mistake, thinking that he was calling some other girl. He clearly had started hooking up with somebody else. As soon as he realized what he had done, he hung up.
You know, I think he was just always with those other girls, honestly. He was just always with them. Always getting laid, always laying pipe, always hitting it. He's always busy. You're weak. Like, you become really busy when you have, like, you know, 10 different women to, you know, lay pipe constantly. It keeps you busy.
Up the phone on me. I called him back. He didn't answer. I texted him and I was like, hey, that was really weird. I think like you owe me an explanation. Never heard from him again.
Let me give you your explanation. Let me get you your closure. Zoom in on my face real quick. There we go. Let me get you a little closure here, Sally, whatever your name is. You fell off the roster. Okay, you were already in the 10th spot. He only has room for 10. A better looking one came in. You fell off. That's just how it was. Okay. Enjoy the weeks or months or however long it was. You experienced it. You were part of the ride, part of the experience. You're in your late 30s, you're almost 40. Like, drop it. Forget it. Forget the guy. Okay? He doesn't matter anymore. Forget him. He's done. You're done. It's over. Deal with it.
This was, I don't know, 15 years ago. Now, I was absolutely distraught by this. I
15 years ago. Realize, just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. This video should have never been made. It's cope. And you added all of the other stuff in there because you're pathetic.
You blew it.
You added all that extra stuff. He was never smitten by you. Didn't even like you. You were just there. He probably had to walk to your apartment. That's why it was just convenience. You know, those other chicks, they live across town. He'd have to travel. And you were just there. Like, this is literally all it is.
really was. I was so upset. But here's the thing, like, he was just never that into me in the first place. Like, the first time.
No, he got into you. A couple times, several times. Non-stop, I bet. And I bet he had a good time too. But, you know, you were never the one. You were 10th in line. You fell off the roster, and then you fell off. And now the wall is hitting you harder than it's probably ever hit anyone, because you were a 3, now I can see you transforming into a 2, or maybe even a 1.
Around, I think, okay, I was a girl at the bar, it was fun, we hung out, slept over, we didn't have sex, and he was like, you know what, I'm not even interested enough to pursue her further to like get to that.
You were probably, and look, I'll give her credit, she was probably the hottest girl in that bar at the time, because everyone else in that bar was probably dudes. That's how this whole situation started.
Place. Then when I reached out to him, he was like, okay, whatever. Like, basically the passive reciprocation loop. But then it died out quickly because it was never even there to begin with. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this is why I always say, like, first of all, when a guy likes you, it's obvious. With him, it was like pretty unclear, except for like there was a brief period of time where he like did seem like he was super into me. And also, this is why I don't advocate that women make the first move, because what I did was create a situation that never should have happened in the first place. Like, he and I should not have dated for those like 3 months or whatever it was.
This is something else. You blew it.
Because like, if I just had let him ghost me, he would have just ghosted me and I wouldn't have gone through that experience, which ultimately resulted in being very upset when I was like dumped like the way that I had been. But I will say that
you weren't dumped, you know, and I will go as far as to say that y'all weren't dating. You two were not dating. He was coming over, hooking up, having fun, but there wasn't dating. Okay, he was probably just embarrassed to see you out in public. That's why he took you to a movie. Dark in there. Nobody can see your face. Nobody knows who you are. Basically anonymous. He doesn't want anybody to see you. You weren't dating. You were just on the roster.
that experience pretty much gave me my career. That's a whole other story time, because it's a whole other story time. If you're interested, I'll let you know.
Nobody cares.
So, moral of the story is, if a guy likes you, you'll hear from him. You don't need to force things along. You don't need to propel the action. Hope that makes sense, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, the story makes sense. Here's the reality of the situation. Half that story was made up. Okay, he never liked you. You definitely did spend the night. He probably hooked up. He probably did some pretty nasty things to you that night. And y'all went and got breakfast because you need the protein. But that was it. He ghosted you. You're done. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what happened here. And you somehow managed to turn it into a 5-minute TikTok. You random story that doesn't make any sense. And you know what? Nobody wants to hear the part 2. That is today's video, everyone. I want to thank you for sticking around till the end. Subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Rat Boy out.